Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Adventures in Truth livecast. My name is Jim Case. I am your host. Excited to be here today. Before we get started in our topic today, we're going to be diving into abundance, which I think is going to be a fun topic. I've got Moshe Engelberg is with us for another Conversation with Moshe. And before we begin that, let's do some of the business. You know, if you're out there and you're watching, you're participating in the show, please like and subscribe. Please share the window. Let people know we're here and help them to participate with us as well. You can participate with us during the show if you go to Adventures in Truth Facebook page, and in the live window, you'll see that when you type into the comments will come into the studio. We'll be able to respond and interact with you there as well. So thanks for joining us. It's going to be a terrific show. Again, we're going to be looking at abundance from a lot of different perspectives, but really diving deep into this idea of abundance and why is it important, and how do we generate the state of abundance in a way that's consistent in our lives. So we're going to dive into that right after we get back, and we'll be back right after this. All right, www.fearisachoicebook.com. Check it out, guys. Great website. I ask you to go there. There's reviews of the book. There are links to order the book there, so you can head there to order your book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, and learn more, even in more depth, about the impact this book is having. Fear is a Choice book. Powerful way to change your relationship with fear. And I say that because this book helps you to navigate through not only understanding sort of the evolution of fear in our experience, in the human experience, but then how we've incorporated that into our personal evolution process and what that means, and how do we disengage from it, how do we change the relationship with fear so that we stop dumbing down our experience and open to as much potential and as much potential and opportunity as you possibly can. So check it out. Coming up on the anniversary of release of my book, I'm super excited about. Thank you to all of you out there who have participated, who have ordered the book, who have left your reviews. I appreciate you very much. Hold on, I'm getting a note here about something. Oh, my voice is fading in and out a bit. Okay, so maybe I need to talk a little more directly. Anyway, so fearischoicebook.com, check it out, and we'll be right back with on the other side of the break. If I can figure out where my buttons are. Today's a button day. All right. This is the self-proclaimed year of conscious creation. It is My World is Good. My World is Good. We've been doing this for going almost 10 months. We've been doing this movement. And I'm excited to say how much I can see the changes. And I'm hoping you're seeing the changes in your world and the goodness that's coming forward as you step into this movement. Being the year of conscious creation, this is all about really choosing in a very conscious way what we choose to create. And this neutral positive statement of what my world is good is a way of bringing energy into your world, right? We're 7.5 billion worlds inhabiting this planet because your world is yours. Your world is, no one can live your life for you. No one can create your life for you but you. So this is bringing a stream of energy into your world that is about enhancing the goodness so that you are creating that feedback loop. You're creating that perception loop that what you look out into the world and see is filled with more goodness than not. And that's reflecting back to you in a way that's reinforcing that belief, that understanding, that way of living our lives. So join the movement. It's simple. It's easy. It just requires your energy and focus and attention. 10 times in the morning when you wake up, 10 times at the end of the day, and then use it throughout the day whenever you feel your alignment getting a little wonky or you feel yourself getting pulled into some other negative or less energetic expression that you want to be in. So My World is Good is easy. It's just feeling it, speaking it, and feeling it some more. And we added another layer to this, which is focusing in appreciation. So as you do the exercise, the way I like to do it is like I do in the morning when I go on my hike, and I get to focus on nature. I get to focus on my dog. I get to focus on the beauty that surrounds me and appreciating that deeply while I am engaging and focused into my world is good. 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 And notice that as you say it more and more, and as you feel it more deeply, you can't help but smile. You can't help but feel uplifted in that experience of my world is good, because you are acknowledging the goodness, you're pulling it forward, you're bringing it out in your life. And in doing that, you are expanding your own possibilities and potential. So my world is good. Check it out. And right on the other side, we're going to bring Moshe in and start the show. Here we go. All right, here we go with another exciting day of Conversation with Moshe. Hi, Moshe.
Hey, Jim. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
So I have neglected, and I have finally fixed this. So y'all, Moshe's been with me for I think a year now, and I've not actually had a bio that I use. So I made one finally, so that all of you out there who get to see him on a weekly basis, or maybe this is your first experience with Moshe. It's short and it's sweet, but it's a way of acknowledging the amazing man that he is. And Moshe is the author, if you haven't seen it, of the Amare Wave, Uplifting Business by Putting Love to Work. He is also an executive coach and a business consultant with his company ResearchWorks. And he is also a keynote speaker. And my favorite, he's a seasoned optimist. He's dedicated to helping you and your company prosper greatly by putting love to work. And I'm fortunate and never less than an appreciation. And let me show you a picture of his book here, The Amare Wave. It's there. It's available. Grab it. Go to MosheEngelberg.com, and he'll talk to you guys in a little while and tell you a little bit more about it, I think. So there you go. I got to like do the whole thing right the first time.
Very nice. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that.
You'd think I'd figured that out by now. Well, and it's funny because I realized, I think I was sitting here this morning and I realized, why don't I do this every time? I think that because of the familiarity and the consistency that, well, everybody knows who Moshe is. I'm like, no, it doesn't know who Moshe. That's the whole point of it. The show is that you're bringing in new people and you want them to participate with him. So anyway, here we are. and excited to be here to talk about abundance. Good morning, Miss Jackie. She's saying good morning, so we're saying good morning. Look at that gorgeous picture. How are you, Miss Jackie? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. All right, so diving into this. So we chatted briefly. Uh, hey, what do we want to talk about? And you threw it out there to say, hey, let's talk about abundance. And then I came across this really awesome definition that I think really speaks to abundance: the cultivation of respect for the creative energy of the universe.
Wow.
I,
Like that.
I yeah, I couldn't really go much broader than that, and more, but not. I shouldn't say broader, more specific. I think it just speaks to the whole essence of the energy of abundance. So tell me what you are thinking about in terms of abundance, and what was stimulating that thought process for you.
Well, sometimes when you ask me, so what should we talk about this week? Just something comes in, and this time it was abundance. I can't really trace as to why or where it came from, but it sat well with me. I shared it with you. You liked it, and here we are. So that
Here we
was
are.
the spark of it. Was it showed up, which sort of is how abundance works.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think a little bit differently in terms of, because I really started to dive into this a little more deeply, because I think we all have a general idea of what we think abundance is. You know, when you hear the word abundance, I know for me, there's automatically that association with the cornucopia and the stuff spilling out of the cornucopia. That image for me has been something that I've always associated with that. But so that sort of speaks to the idea of being of having a lot in the context of the physical world, having things, having stuff, having abundance, we kind of relate that to people who have wealth, to people who have lots of stuff. They're abundant in their lives, and there is truth to that. But I think there's a deeper expression of abundance, because to me, abundance has this capacity of respect. I really want to focus into that capacity of respect,
Mm-hmm.
because I think wealth, and this is kind of interesting as it's brewing for me, but things like wealth and rich are their own thing that are not necessarily related to abundance. They still have a lot of stuff, at least within the context of this definition. They still have a lot of stuff, but their connection to their stuff isn't very deep. It's about the stuff. It's not about the abundance, if that makes sense. It's not about the energy of generating that connection to the creative energy of the universe. It's about havingness. It's about have. And so I have a lot of stuff, therefore. And I'm curious what you think about that as a starting point for where we begin this conversation. Is that too much to start with?
No. I think it starts with where most people go when they think of abundance is a lot of money, or a lot of what money enables. And most people I know who say I'm working on abundance mean financial abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Like enough money to feel comfortable in the world and not have to be concerned about where the next dollar comes from, that kind of thing. So I think that's the go-to meaning.
Agreed. Yes.
And yeah, I agree. This definition is different to me in two ways. It's about respect, and it's about creative energy.
Mm-hmm.
When I think, and particularly I'm focusing on the word creative, because create means to generate, to manifest, to make stuff, so to speak.
Right.
And
Yeah. Good.
yeah. And to me, that can be the focus rather than the result of the creating.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. There's in that creative process. I mean, it speaks to ultimately that we create our reality. So abundance isn't necessarily something bestowed. It's something created. And how is that created? Why is it created? Why do some people have an ability that and others seem to struggle with it? Because when you talk about money, money is another form of energy, right? It's a form of currency. It's a form of exchange. So if we're feeling less than enough, then that's a whole other process, I think. but a whole other process in unraveling what's between us and creating that level of abundance, or creating the surplus, as it were, of stuff. So it's interesting as we're talking. It seems like there's lots of kind of chinks in this thought process. So it's going to be fun to kind of unravel them.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to do now, we're going to take a moment to focus. We've got our topic rolling. I want to take a minute to kind of get everybody's energy in this idea of where two or more are gathered. Big deal to me. Moshe, we'll be right back with you. And
Yep.
we're going to carry on here with our moment to focus and really dive into this is where the rubber meets the road for me. This is an opportunity to get to have a little bit of a daily practice together with you, to fine tune our energies. Those of you that are listening, those of you that are watching, that you can fine tune our energies into this topic in a way that helps us evolve the topic, because it's all about energy, guys. It's all about how we use our energy and how we focus our energy and how we send our intention so that we can unfold these things and begin to understand them a little more deeply and clearly, and to develop that clarity about abundance so that it doesn't become a burden. So we're going to start with breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And that is our focus for the breath, is breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you take those breaths, take a nice big deep breath. Feel the lungs fill as completely as you can on the next inhale. And then purge out of the mouth and let it all go and relax the body. Let the shoulders and the neck relax. Let the body settle into the position that you're comfortable, or you can get into that comfortable position now. And continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you do, now that you're settling into the space, focus yourself into the center of your heart, right into the center of your chest. If you take your middle finger and just feel onto your breastbone, right about the middle of the breastbone or so, you'll feel there's a little soft spot, a little divot, if you just feel gently. And just gently kind of merge into that heart point. Just merge into that as you're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And feel your awareness focusing and coalescing in that space of the heart as the breath surrounds you. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you focus into that heart space, as you focus into the center of your being, I want you to become aware of your field. The field is the emanation of energy from this focal point, from the center of your heart, that emanates and radiates outside of you for as far as you can see. So just be in that space of feeling and seeing your field. And what I want you to notice as you do, not only is it brilliant, not only is it incredible, but it's abundant. There isn't a shortage of you. There is an abundance of you. And as you focus into it, as you focus into your love, into the heart, you can feel those waves and bands of energy radiating from you. And if you watch them, you can see them ripple out into the world and into the universe. And that love is touching and interacting and engaging. And there is an abundance of it. You don't have to call it. You don't have to engage. You don't have to force it. You don't have to make it happen. You simply focus. And then you direct that focus and watch as the energy expands. But the important part of this is I want you to experience the abundance of your energy. This is an important part of our conversation today is we are abundant in energy. So if we are lacking in our physical experience, there's a disconnect between our field and our physical. And that's where we want to focus today, is helping to bring those two together in a more cohesive, more aligned way. And as you continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, focusing into that, focusing into the abundance of you, your energy, your field, your magnificence. Just be in the space of that. And as you are, we're going to focus our breath, because each breath is a moment of creation. Each breath brings forth vital energy, life force, prana, chi into this physical body, that then that energy is used, that oxygen is used to create more energy, to enliven the cells, to stimulate the systems of this body, to create a harmony within the physicality that helps this body to be on the planet. while my energy continues to grow and continues to expand. And this vehicle becomes the framework through which I can experience my own energy in a way that I may not be able to in other ways. But I get to experience it in a very kind of tangible way as you're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And so we're going to focus that breath. We're going to focus it into a count of 4. You're going to inhale to a count of 4, filling as completely as you can. And then at the top, you're going to rest. You're going to sit in the experience of that fullness and relax. And then you're going to purge all of it. You're going to let it go, consciously choosing to surrender it all to a count of 6. And then at the bottom, we're going to rest in the emptiness. We're going to rest in the void in anticipation of the next moment of creation. An extraordinary experience in learning how to manage energy. This breath process helps you to learn how to manage your energy, because you begin to understand that this breath that you breathe is energy, and that as you learn to use it, you become more clear of your own energy. It's all connected. It's all related. So here we go. We're going to focus now into that breath. Let yourself cycle through the breath that you're in to come together with us here as we inhale. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4, feeling full, relaxing the neck and the shoulders, feeling amazing in that richness as that oxygen-rich air fills the entire body, creates a tingling around you as you release it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then relaxing in the emptiness. Just be in the space of nothingness for just a moment, anticipating the next moment as you engage the lungs and inhale. 2, 3, 4, feeling that fullness, feeling that richness, embracing it, enjoying it, and then surrendering it. 2, 3, as you exhale, 4, 5, 6, releasing all of the old energy and air deep in the lungs, resting in that emptiness as you connect with the lungs and the breath again, inhaling. 2, 3, 4, feeling full, feeling powerful. Good. And then holding that in there, being in that moment, and then surrendering it all and releasing an exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and resting at the bottom again, finding a place of peace in the void, in the not know, as you prepare to engage the next moment. And again, carrying on your own in this rhythm, inhaling. 2, 3, 4, good. And at that top, feel that, carry on the rhythm as you feel into that fullness, and then consciously choose to surrender that breath. Surrender this moment to the next moment. As you exhale, letting it all go, releasing it all freely and easily without resistance, coming to that bottom space, that emptiness, that void, and being well in the void, being well in the space of readiness as you engage again and continue the focus of that breath. And allowing that to inform everything you do. My world is good. My world is good. Feel the words. I am the evolution of God realized as matter. I inform and guide that expression as the pure expression of God. I show up as God. I connect as God. I align as God. I am creation realized. And from that, I create, I expand, I engage. I am. Feel that wash over you as you stay deeply connected to the breath. Just being in the space of breath, in the space of creation, and the awareness of the incredible abundance of all of it. We are not without air. We are not without energy. We are always in abundance of those things. And continue and finish cycling through your breath. And we're going to bring Moshe back in as we continue on in this conversation about abundance. And we're going to bring Moshe back to the show here to carry on. I caught him mid coming out.
Right. Yes, you did.
Oh, funny. All right. So let's dive into the first piece that I was struck by. So again, the cultivation of respect for the creative energy of the universe. And I mean, I got stuck on respect. You got stuck on creativity. So we're gonna go both places, but I think they all relate ultimately. And I say, when I do the show, when I put the show together, and I do these things, I hope that they translate, because RESPECT was Aretha Franklin singing in my head when I wrote this. And I thought, oh, cool, I'm going to put this down. So it tickles me because that's what it reminds me of.
Right.
And I don't know if it translates that way. Like when you read it, do you feel that? So I forgot to tell the story. But,
Yes. Same reaction here.
excuse me. So the respect piece. I said in the intro, oh, goodness gracious, in the intro of what I typed about this. Anyway, the idea of respect to me is about honoring. It's how we honor. It's how we appreciate. It's how we have. I mean, I know the word respect is to have those things, but I got to find it. Sorry, I got to find it. Because I think it's important to respect. Isn't necessarily just deference. It's more than that. It's a more engaged thing to me when it comes to this, because we have so much energy and so much we don't understand about who we are, that I think coming to it, respect to me in this form is a form of recognition of that awesomeness, even if we don't completely understand it, even if we don't completely grasp all of it. So the respect force for me, when we cultivate, when we nurture, when we appreciate, when we honor, we attend to that which we desire. That to me is how we respect the energy. What are your thoughts about that in regard to respect, and how that fits into the idea of abundance?
To me, respect also has this aspect of appreciation,
Mm-hmm.
of and value. And yes, what you talked about, as I heard, it was about cultivation.
Mm-hmm.
It also, I also feel from it a separateness. So
Mm.
if I respect you, or if I respect money, for example, it's I'm here and it's there.
Hmm.
Um, it's a little, and I'm thinking, do I believe that? Because I'm thinking about self-respect.
Mm-hmm.
And so self-respect is it's all within me, but there's still the observer and the observed, or the object and the subject. So I hadn't been aware of that before with respect, but now that I think about it,
Mm-hmm.
that's what comes to mind. And with abundance, I feel it has that same aspect of a distinction between me or you or whoever it is, and the desiring and the having.
Okay. What about the idea of between the human experience and the aligned or the greater experience of who we are? Um, when you were talking, that was what struck me. Is it's the respect to me is that honoring of the greater part of who we are, even if we're not entirely understanding what that is. Um, that to me you develop a, this is interesting, this is sort of a weird conundrum of a word, um, in the context of how we're using it in the definition, the cultivation of respect. So the cultivation, the when we cultivate a crop, we we tend to the soil, right? We tend to the medium that it's going to be grown in. We build that medium. We strengthen it. Hopefully, we maybe add nutrients to it, or we add things that help it naturally build its nutrient base, so that when we put that seed in, or whatever it is, or that bulb into the soil, and we cover it, and then we nurture it some more, and we nurture it with attention, we nurture it with water, maybe we nurture it with feeding, but we look for how we do that, or we walk that, and every seed or every bulb or any of those things are all a little bit different. They may have basically the same, but they're all a little different. But the cultivation process is an honoring of this, ultimately this seed, right? This small beginning, and nurturing it into existence in a new form. So I don't know, can you do that without respect for that process in some form?
I think so. I think it's akin to when people, I'd say, take advantage of something. Say, I'm going to get the most out of it that I can. Say, for example, people who have the worldview of the world is here for me rather than the worldview of I am here for the world.
Mm.
So I think with that, the world is here for me, which suggests greed. There's not respect. It would be more, I'm going to use up the soil. I'm going to use up the nutrients. So this crop does well, and I don't care what happens in 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah. Well,
and that's what's happened.
I'm looking up because I want to see, what the definition of respect is in its natural form, the way that
Right.
a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. Due regard for the feelings, wishes, rights, or traditions of others. To admire deeply as a result of their abilities, qualities, or achievements. So that's a really good. Actually, it's not very often anymore that I go and read a definition and go, oh, okay. More I go, oh my gosh, really? That's what that's defined as. But this is kind of cool to me that this really speaks to. It really speaks to what we're talking about in this cultivation of respect. So there's this cultivation of the admiration or the appreciation of all that we are. So again, even if you don't have a full grasp of it, you can still cultivate an appreciation, because as you do, you become more aware and more aware and more aware. And even in the context of something like a meditation, you can suddenly become acutely aware of how much more there is of you than the limited version that we believe of ourselves. And so that to me is where I think, as we talk about this, and where I kind of go with the idea of abundance, I was looking at it more from an energetic perspective, meaning, what is the energy of abundance that we're calling on? What are we really trying to do here? Because on a purely ego physical world, abundance is exactly the way you described it, and exactly the way the definition is. It's having a lot of stuff. It's having wealth. It's having money. But a state of abundance, or a state of abundance within ourselves, that creates an energy of connection, because it's about appreciation, because it's about that acknowledgement of that cultivation of respect, seems to be a little bit different to me than the sort of having thing. And that's where I was trying to go, because I think that the solution to abundance, or the clarity of abundance, is in recognizing the difference between the two. That you can go about the world of having, and you can just hammer your way through the world having the things that you want. What I have seen pretty consistently in my lifetime is that those who focus in that direction do not have appreciation for, and do not really care about those things. There's not a relationship there, right? It's just stuff. I can have it. I have money, I have things, I can have my stuff, and it doesn't, there's not a satisfaction to the experience other than being able to spend the money the way they want to spend the money.
Right.
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 I see the abundance being a little different. If you're in the state of abundance, there is a continual appreciation of what is, and what is creating, and what is, and what is creating, and what is, and what is creating. And tell me if you think that's a little wonky, or if you see it differently. I'm curious.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's wonky. And do I see it differently? I'm not sure. And here's what's going through my head. I'll back up. Because the way I'm interpreting what you're saying is, if you knew I had millions of dollars and all kinds of things and a bunch of houses and the outward signs of financial wealth, you might, based on what you just said, you might not say he has abundance or he's in a state of abundance.
Right. You'd say he's wealthy. You'd say he's rich.
Right.
Yeah.
And I really like that distinction right there. The question is that I think might be helpful to listeners and viewers is, what questions would you suggest people ask themselves to assess, am I in a state of abundance?
Okay. So,
On the spot with Jim Case.
there you go. That actually kind of goes into cultivation skills.
Yeah.
So, what questions would I have us ask of ourselves? I think the first has to be, where am I in relation to what I want? Meaning, so I want to wind that back a little, because as soon as you said it, like 7,000 things landed in my brain all at the same time. So one of those things is that one of the concepts that I like is the things that we desire because how they'll make us feel, because of what we think we will experience as a result of those things. And when you're striving for wealth, I think it's different than, I think if you think you're striving for abundance, but your underlying thing is I want money, then you're not really looking for abundance. You're looking for money. So the first thing is clarify what you're looking for. Clarify what you desire. There's nothing wrong with being clear that you want to create money. Money is an energy. Energy is creatable, it's alignable. You can do that. There is nothing wrong with being physical and wanting things, but I think you have to look at why you want them, because having them does not give you abundance. Having stuff does not make you an abundant person. It makes you a collector. It makes you potentially rich if you're collecting those things. It makes you a collector, but it doesn't necessarily make you abundant, because abundance to me is again, let's go back. It's that cultivation. It's a cultivation of energy, and it's a respect for the creative energy of the universe, which you are. So I think in the intro, I said something to that effect, that how would I see this? So I would express this statement in a different way. It is a cultivation and respect of and for capital S self. So making it personal, making it here, making it come here. So as you look at how you approach abundance, how you feel about abundance, it's kind of an odd thing, because in the physical world, abundance is a lot of something. I got a lot of it, so I have an abundance of it. In energy, you also have abundance. You have a lot of energy. You have a lot of it. How do you honor it or respect it? It doesn't matter whether it's your energy or stuff. It has to be honored and respected if you're going to continue to grow it. If you're going to cultivate it, then then there's a cultivation process. There is, how do I engage this energy? How do I use it? How do I interact with it? How do I integrate it into my experience so that I walk through the world without lack? That I walk through the world not feeling less than or lacking in, because I have this state of abundance that I carry myself in, because I recognize that I am way more than this physical body. And so I can use that to create a large space for me in which to create, is almost how I see it. It sort of expands the space. So when we're focused into, and I know I'm kind of weirdly answering the question, because I'm giving you more information than answer. And part of that is because I'm trying to unravel this in a way that brings the key pieces to place, and then the questions can be obvious. Sometimes to me, the questions aren't as obvious, because if you don't know what you're looking at, then the question can't make sense if you don't know what you're looking at.
Right. Well, how about if I summarize what I think you're saying?
Okay.
Are the questions. So if someone listening is asking themselves, am I in a state of abundance? Or what is abundance for me? The first question is, what do you want? And let's say the answer is $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And the next question is, why do you want that? Or what would that get you? Let's say the answer is a nice house in this neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next question would be, and what feeling or energetic state would that produce for you?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that might be happiness, contentment, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I was going to say where the money is, so to speak, so the abundance is having a lot of that feeling of happiness or contentment, and the $1 million in the house is a means to that, and not necessarily the only means. So someone would say, yes, I am in a state of abundance, not when they have the $1 million or the house necessarily, but when they have that feeling and that connection that
Yes.
you're looking for.
Yes. Yes. And that was, I'm glad you came back to that, because that was really where it goes in the end, is that how are you respecting, how are you cultivating that? So if your desire is the feeling, and you understand that that's what it's ultimately about, that I want this experience, then you are of enormous abundance and energy. You can feel that experience anytime.
Yeah.
You can feel that feeling at any moment that you choose to engage that in yourself. That is a form, to me, is a form of abundance, because you have, as in the state of abundance. But then in doing that, you're creating the space for so many more things to occur, that you've limited your perception to believing that the house is going to be the thing that's going to make you feel that way, when what will make you feel that way is choosing to feel that way. And then choosing to feel that way and being in that space of energy, because you are cultivating the respect for the creative energy, you are now creating a space for all kinds of amazing things to show up that you don't even realize are there for you, because you're so limited in the perception that the house is the only way you're going to get there from here.
And so that maybe that's where it comes together, the creation of that space for all kinds of things to come in that I don't know what they'll be. And it's not limited to, oh, it has to be the house. That's abundance, the amount or magnitude of that space.
Yes, because I think in the end, when you're in that state of abundance, what you experience is deep satisfaction. You experience satisfaction with the experience of your world. So the idea that, oh, I can create happiness in my life, I don't have to buy a house to create happiness, isn't saying you don't get to have a house or can't have a house, but don't conflate them, because you've suddenly attached two key things together that may have no relationship to anything. It's just your concept. So it's a story you've made up about why you think that's going to get you there. Because the idea of the house making you happy has to be related to something else. Because if you've never owned a house, then how would you know that a house will make you happy? If you've never owned one. So it is a prescribed idea that is not yours. So again, as you focus into desire, focus into, is this coming from me? Or is this programming that I'm getting because that's what the outside world says is the way to be abundant, is the way to be successful, is the way to go there. And so in asking those questions, particularly about that, it's not about denying anything. It's about aligning to. And if you focus into that aligning space within the context of abundance, then you're not attached to the what. You're attached to the feeling. You're attaching to the experience. I want more joy. Gosh, I got all this joy. This is amazing. And since you have all this joy and you're moving through your world in joy, you're attracting all these amazing things that are going to bring you deep satisfaction in that state of joy. They're going to bring you deep satisfaction in that, wherever you are, whether love or joy or what, happiness. And suddenly all kinds of cool things show up that deeply satisfy the core of you, because that is what you're seeking. And it's not because of the stuff, it's because you generated an energy. And as a result of that, you can play in that in a very physical way. You get to play with it. You get to touch it and feel it and taste it and go, isn't, I'll use I had to buy a new car. I say I had to buy a new car because I literally was in a circumstance where the state of my car, after I had put 280,000 miles on it, was on the brink, and it wasn't going to pass muster. And so I had to make a decision: invest thousands of dollars in a 280,000 mile car, or buy a new car. So we went out and bought a new car, and the process of buying that new car was really quite extraordinary because we started, I think, around 2 o'clock, and by 7 o'clock we were done. And the funniest part of it was the process of walking through this was a little bit of a pain because it was about getting clearer and clearer as we went. I have no idea what kind of car I was going to get. We both kind of knew we were looking at an SUV-ish type thing, being in Colorado, blah, blah, blah. So we went that route, but with as little resistance as possible. And what shows up, and again, not having a preconceived idea that it had to be a certain way, I was willing to walk in my own, whatever state of abundance I was in, to know that I was going to be picking something that was going to be satisfying for whatever the next stage of our experience is, whatever the next phase of our life is about. And I found that car very easily, and in short order. I mean, literally from 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock. That's the length of time it took me to leave the house, find a car. And the market for used cars in Denver is horrendous. I don't know if it's true all over the country, but here there are no used cars. The pandemic has decimated that whole market. So finding cars is a challenge in and of itself. But anyway, so we found this beautiful car, and I got to tell you, every single time I'm in it, I'm in awe. Every single time I'm in it, I get out. When I get out of the car, I come in the house, I'm like, Michael, I can't get over how much I love this car. I can't get over how much I love being in, how light I feel, how young I feel in this car. And it's a Ford Escape. It's a lovely little small size SUV, 4-wheel drive that'll allow me to get into the mountains. I can take my skis and go skiing on the regular. It serves the purpose of its purpose. But beyond that, it's a deeply satisfying experience that I didn't anticipate, because I thought I was looking for a car. But I've been generating and cultivating that energy of abundance in my world. And I don't always know what it looks like. And I think that's another piece of this, is that we may not always know what that looks like because we haven't had a ton of experience reflecting in our own worlds. What do we feel? How do we feel? Why do we feel? What are we trying to experience? What do we want to get out of this? We're listening to the programming, and we're not listening to ourselves.
Well, that's a great example of a state of abundance. The car story, because that was your energetic state. And to add to that, I remember when you bought your prior car, the one you just sold with 280,000 miles, and you went to the different places to buy cars, and you thought you wanted to get a Mini Cooper.
Yes.
A brown Mini Cooper, if I remember right.
I had focused on that thing for a good year.
Yeah. So in your head, you needed the Mini Cooper to be happy, or to have the right car, so to speak.
Right.
And then you went to the dealership and you ended up with a very different car.
Yeah, Ford Fusion.
As soon as you saw it, you knew that was it. And you said the same thing afterward. I get in this car and I am so happy. I can't believe it. It's perfect for what I need right now. So the fact that you had the same reaction, to me, that's a reaction that comes from a state of abundance. Like, I respect that this creativity happened in the universe. Mm-hmm. So I think your car example, both of them, beautifully demonstrate what the state of abundance is.
Yes, thank you. And it's the thing that's remarkable is that it's always better than I could have anticipated. It's the weirdest thing to me. You think, oh, I'm going to buy a car. This is going to be, here it is, nuts and bolts. Here's the doors. Here's does it do this? Does it do that? Does it turn on? Does it turn off? That's all the technical, all the regular stuff. But that feeling is just mind blowing to me, literally and figuratively,
Yeah.
because it fills me so deeply every single time. And how amazing to me that if I'm feeling off, I can go drive in my car for 10 minutes and feel better because that experience is so satisfying.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, it's to me, that's crazy, but it's amazing. We have a comment. What abundance spirit, but oh, somebody else is here. Okay. So, where are we at? Oh, Lord,
And
Moshe, we're talking away. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and I forgot to tell you ahead of time, this is one of the weeks I need to end a bit early.
Okay. Well, that would be like now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
well, I appreciate you. This has been a great conversation. I appreciate you being here for the conversation,
Yes.
and helping to flesh some of this out in a really profound way. I'm really, really loving where this is going, and I'm sure we can go a lot further.
Yeah. Amen
But
to that.
thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Always, always have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you very soon.
All right. Take care. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
brother. Bye. All right. So, carrying on this, we were talking about cultivation skills. So, what does that mean? Having the skills of cultivation. So, I love using the growing things analogy because it is analogous of everything. Again, guys, this is so fun to me. How as we continue on this journey together and we continue to talk about these things, we begin to see more and more how the outer and the inner are reflected in each other, and how it's all the same. It's all outward. What we're perceiving on the outside is just reflecting what's happening on the inside. And it doesn't matter what you're looking at because we all are creators. So if we can cultivate the skills, that's by virtue of. So if we think about it again, I'm going to go through this analogy. We start with, we want to plant something, we want to grow something. What do? Well, we learn about it, right? We learn about this thing we want to cultivate. We learn about the dirt. We learn about the medium that it's going to grow in, because you don't have to grow in water anymore. You can grow or you don't have to grow in soil. You can grow in water. You can grow in hydroponic towers. There are so many ways that you can grow things, that you have the opportunity to find the one that's most satisfying to you. And then the cultivation is you using your energy and your focus and your intention to bring and gently coax or gently allow for this process of growth and creation. So you tend to the soil, or you prepare the water, you prepare the situation that you're, whatever the medium that you're going to grow in. And then you learn as you go, and you develop a relationship with that plant, and you develop a connection in the energy of watching this plant become whatever it is it's going to become. It's no different for anything else we have in the world, anything else we want to create in the world. It should be no different. You want to cultivate it. You want to cultivate the feeling. That's the medium. You're not growing it in dirt necessarily. You're cultivating an experience. You're cultivating a feeling, a destination, a place that you want to be. And in that, maybe a specific, maybe a car, maybe a house, maybe there are practical things that we have to figure out here. Maybe, the money, whichever the case may be. What gets us in the way of our abundance, I think, is believing in lack, first off. And that's the biggest, most challenging part of this puzzle, I think, as we go along in this. As we go along in this state of abundance, doesn't. How do I say this? We all, I believe, in my experience, all of us have some form of lack consciousness, some form of it. And what is lack consciousness? Lack consciousness is the belief that there's not enough. There's not enough of whatever. Lack consciousness within the context of our own consciousness means I want this, but I don't know if there's enough of it for me to have. Or somebody else has more skill than I do, so they're going to get it and I'm not. I'm not skilled enough to have that. I don't have enough information to have that. I don't, whatever it is the belief that there is not enough, you don't have enough, there is not enough available to you. It is a deep seated, powerfully driven fear module that I believe is a part of what we have to unravel in this physical plane. Yes, there are some people who can use the force of will to direct their energy and to make things happen. It's absolutely true. We all have that ability. It just depends on how we focus it. Some have learned to fine tune that because they've become so aligned into the ego and into that part of, and again, not bad, wrong, or right, wrong. It is choices. That path and that choice goes to a different place. That's not the place that we're talking about here today. It is the antithesis of the place we're talking about here today. Um, because what I know is that if you drive that, the having of that thing and the willing of that thing for the moment will be satisfying because you conquered it. But then there's nothing to it after that. There's no necessary connection to it after that. And so it becomes unimportant. And that's sort of the state of our world right now, right? Excess, everywhere, excess, excess, excess. We rape the planet, we screw the soil, we look for ways to not allow ourselves to experience the glorious abundance that this planet has to offer. So this state of abundance is a place of cultivating the space of what do I want to feel? I want to feel alignment. I want to feel joy. I want to be in a space of connection. And so the state of abundance says there's plenty for everybody. And there's plenty for me and plenty for you and plenty of energy to go around. And that I continue to practice that in my daily life. That every time I think there's a limitation, I stop and I breathe and I reconnect that wiring that says, no, yes, there's always enough. There's plenty. There is always plenty. The idea of abundance is everywhere. It doesn't necessarily mean accumulating. And it can, but it doesn't necessarily have the satisfaction when it's a true state of abundance. Because I don't know that those energies really focus or are aligned in the idea of the true state of abundance. I think they are something else. So I think when you're in those energies, when you're will driven, when you're forcing, when you're trying to make things happen, that's a different energy in a different space that is not about abundance. Because there is no cultivation of abundance. There's just simply, I want. Gimme, gimme, I have. There is no state of cultivation of energy of what is this and how will it impact me in a way, impact my world and my life and serve all of those things. And when it does, the satisfaction and joy in that experience is even more profound than the original experience that you were striving for to begin with, which makes it all the more better. So I know this is a lot. I know that I'm presenting some kind of a little different angle on this idea of abundance, and my desire is that it helps to clarify what the abundant process is so that we don't get mired in needing to have things to develop abundance. Abundance comes because we create a state of there's always more, there's always enough. I have a tremendous field of energy that I can create anything I want with. How do I want to focus it? How do I want to use it? And noticing where those thoughts come up that say, ooh, but there's not enough of that for me, or I don't have enough of that for that. Surrender all of those and let yourself sit into this space of feeling what you want to be. Feel it. I want more joy, then feel more joy. Find ways to feel more joy. Find things to appreciate that bring you more joy. And therein lies the generation of the state of abundance. And I think that's where we'll stop for today because this is a powerful topic. I think we'll probably have to go into some more of this down the road. I would love to hear your comments about your experience of this topic and where we've gone with it today, because I'd like to carry it on further. And I need a little more stimulation, I think, for that to go further in this conversation. Because again, I think it's a lot. I think there's many layers to this. And so I don't want to glaze over or miss pieces and parts that can be significant to how we all can step into that state of abundance cleanly and easily and powerfully and generate the things that we desire in this world and to create the peace and the joy and the extraordinary experience of being alive on this planet. Thank you all for being here for the show. Thank you for being a part of My World is Good and Adventures in Truth and being a part of this family. I appreciate you deeply. I thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you on the next show. Thank you guys very much. Have an amazing day. If I can find my button. 1 second. 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 1 We hope you enjoyed this episode of Adventures in Truth Livecast. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to learn more about Jim's book, Fear is a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love, check it out at www.fearisachoicebook.com. Also check out Moments of Truth, a new offering from Adventures in Truth. If you'd like to work with Jim, check out www.thesciencetransformation.com to book a session. Tune in live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and every Friday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, or look for our new releases and podcasts every Monday. Until next time, be well, and we'll see you again on Adventures in Truth Livecast.